Howdy 8th grade. Today we are going to walk through the steps for how to graph a quadratic function, graphing quadratics, and there's kind of 5 steps to this that we're going to walk through, and then we're going to do a couple examples, then we'll be done for the evening. So I'm going to walk through the steps first, then show you how we use them. The first step is going to be to find the axis of symmetry. So if you remember, our quadratics are all symmetric, and we want to figure out what it's symmetrical over. After that, what we're going to do is we are going to find our vertex, which is the point where it is symmetrical. Find has a D in it, not a T. Find vertex. After I find the vertex, what I'm going to do is to find my y-intercept. And finally, after I find my y-intercept, I will want to find a point that's not on my axis of symmetry. And then after that, I will finally be able to graph. So step 5 is to graph. And I'll show you guys how that works. So a quick example that we can do is going to be y equals x squared plus 4x plus 5. So the first thing I want to do is to find my axis of symmetry. And my axis of symmetry is always going to be at x equals negative b over 2a. So this is something that you should probably know. I would highlight that, I would remember it, I would sleep with it under my pillow. Just make sure that you know that. And we can use this to find our axis of symmetry. So there's no number behind our x squared, so we're going to put a 1 there. And that means for this equation, my a is 1, my b is 4, and my c is 5. So I'm going to plug in my b and my a, and I'll get x equals negative 4 over 2 times 1, which is negative 4 over 2, which is negative 2. So my axis of symmetry is at x equals negative 2. My second step is to find the vertex, which means I'm just going to plug this in to the original. So I'm going to have y equals 1 times 2 squared plus 4 times 2 plus 5. And all I did was I plug this in. Oh, that should be a negative 2. And I don't need this line here either. So let me fix that and make those negative. And looking at this, I have 1 times negative 2 squared. Negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. Times 1 is 4, so that's going to be a 4 here. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8, and I have my plus 5. Which is going to be 4 plus negative 8 is negative 4, plus 5 is 1. So I have y equals 1, and x equals negative 2. That would be my vertex, is at negative 2, 1. And just like that, I am done with step number 2. That's my vertex. I just plug in my axis of symmetry to the original equation to find my y. But we are going to keep on keeping on. We want to find the y-intercept. And the y-intercept is where x equals 0. So I'm going to set x equal to 0, and that's going to give me another really easy point I can use. So I have y equals 1 times 0 squared plus 4 times 0 plus 5, and I hope that's going to give us 0 plus 0 plus 5 equals 5. So my y-intercept is going to be at 0, 5, which is a nice easy point to get. My fourth one is that I want to get one more point. So I have a point already at x equals negative 2, right up here. I have a point at x equals 0, right here. So I think it might be nice to get a point at x equals negative 1. So I just need any other point I want. I can pick wherever I want. But since I already have these two, I'm going to pick one right in the middle, which is going to be x equals negative 1. You could do any other point you like. I just like this one. And then I'm going to plug this in. So I have y equals 1 times negative 1 squared plus 4 times negative 1 plus 5. Negative 1 squared is 1, so this is 1 plus negative 4 plus 5. So y equals, that would be negative 3 plus 5, which is 2. So my last point is going to be negative 1, 2. So now I can finally graph. I have my XY table basically already done. I know that my vertex is going to be, scrolling way back up, is going to be at -2, 1. And that is the vertex, which is very good to know. I know that I also have the point 0, 5, and I have the point -1, 2. So now I can graph it, which I'm going to do right here. I know at x equals 0, my y is 5. I know at x equals -1, my y is 2. And at x equals -2, my y is 1. I also know that this right here is my symmetry. So if it looks like something on one side of the line, it has to look like that on the other. So I'm just going to reflect these points on the other side too. And just like that, I can draw my line. And I am done. So we're going to try one more real quick that's maybe a little bit harder. And then we should be good to go. So what we are going to do, the equation y equals 3x squared plus 18x plus 13. So my first step is still to find my axis of symmetry, which is going to be x equals -b over 2a. So for this equation, I have a equals 3, b equals 18, and c equals 13. So -b over 2a would be -18 over 2 times 3, which is -18 over 6. So that would be -3. So I have x equals -3, and that's my first step. My second step, I find my vertex, so I just have to plug that x in. And I'll get y equals 3 times -3 squared plus 18 times 3 plus 13. So going through this, -3 squared is +9, and +9 times 3 is 27. 18 times -3 is going to be -54. And I have my plus 13 at the end there. So I add all these together, and I'm going to get y equals -14. So my vertex is at -3, -14. I'll keep on going. So I want to find my y-intercept next, which is where x equals 0. So I'm going to set x equal to 0, and I get y equals 3 times 0 squared plus 18 times 0 plus 13. Y is 13. So I have another point at 0, 13. And then I want to find one more point that's somewhere in between those. So I'm going to pick x equals -1, because that seems pretty easy. And I'm going to have y equals 3 times 1 squared, -1 squared plus 18 times -1 plus 13. So going through this, -1 squared is 1, so I'll have 3 plus -18 plus 13, which is going to be -2. So my last point is -1, -2. And now I can go through and graph this. So we're going to need a pretty big graph here. A lot of stuff going on. It's going to go up. I'm going to do this by 2. So this is 2, 4, 6, going all the way up. And -2, -4, -6 going down. And do the same thing on the x. Just like that. So my first point that I want to do is going to be the vertex, which for this equation is going to be at -3, -14. So if this is -2 here, -3 would be halfway, and -14 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines down. So that would be my vertex, and I'm going to label it just so I know. That right there is my vertex. I also know that my y-intercept is going to be at 13. So I'm just going to go up 13, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 would be right here. And then I also looked at -1, and for me at -1 I got -2. So -1, -2 is right here. And I can also flip these around the axis of symmetry, so I'd get another one here and another point. See, that would be 3/, so right here. And now that I have those, all I have to do is draw in my curve. And just like that, that is my line. I am done graphing. So that's how you graph quadratics. I'll see you all in class tomorrow. Hope you have a great day.